The Army Painter is my favorite hobby company in the entire world. My desk is literally full of Army Painter products, and it takes me from being an average painter to putting above tabletop standard models out into the tournament scene. Not only that, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive play than any other hobby company in the industry. They allow us to keep doing the things that we do. If you enjoy the Army Painter as much as I do, head over to thearmypainter.com where you can use the discount code ARTOWAR5 to get a discount on your next order.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another Art of War video. Today, we're going to be talking about the Battle for Salvation Team Tournament, and I've got a brand new face on the channel. Hello, Michael.
Hello everyone. It is my first time on the live content, I think, at all.
I know, I'm very excited for this. I get to have you, I get to break you in.
You do.
I get to talk with you. Today we're talking about the Battle for Salvation Team Tournament, which is an event that just happened in New York this past weekend that you and I attended along with the rest of the Art of War crew.
I had a really good time at it. It was a really fun event.
It was a very fun event. We ended up getting second place to Stat Check by a single point, 1 point. And today we're going to be talking about that round, what went wrong, what went right, what we would change differently, going backwards, what we were really excited about Stat Check doing, some of the cool things that they were doing that we think we want to try and use going forward. Yeah. If this is your first time joining us, we are Art of War 40K. We are a competitively focused YouTube channel. We post a bunch of stuff like this video. Today's kind of our Thursday live stream, so if you have any questions or comments, you can drop those in the chat. We're going to answer all the super chats that you guys have as they come up. If you want to see more of us, if you want to see more of our battle reports, if you want to see strategy sessions, if you want to see things like our puzzles, you can check that out in the War Room. That's the warroom.vhx.tv, which is our subscription service. There's a 3-day free trial where you can find all of our stuff, and there's no commitment or anything, so if you don't like it, you can just cancel after the trial and pay no money. All right. Let's go ahead and let's jump right in to this this tournament here. There we go. So this is round 1. You want to go ahead? Let's just jump to round 4.
Let's just jump to round 4.
Let's just right round 4.
Let's jump to it.
Let's right to round 4.
That's what the people are here for.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So there were a lot of really good teams at this event, but I think 2 of the teams that kind of had, like, if you were like in like a betting pool, some of the teams that I think had the highest odds to win the event going into it were Stat Check and Art of War. And we were kind of destined to play. We've played a lot of the players on Stat Check before, but never as one like super cohesive, like mega unit.
Yeah.
They were like a Voltron assembles from all over the world.
That's always hard. I faced them at, what was the Champions Cup last year?
Yeah,
I faced them at Champions Cup XPZ last year, and it was the same. It's just 8 amazing players, right?
I know. There's no weak links on that roster.
No, there's not.
If you want to find out our thoughts on the lists themselves, you can check out last Wednesday's, I guess, live stream between John and I. We talked about the lists and like what we were scared of and things like that. Jonathan Haynes, member for 24 months. Thank you very much. Hello, Quinton and Michael. Hello to you, Jonathan Haynes. So we were worried about going into this round. This was a round that we had practiced a lot. And our philosophy before we started was that we were going to try and have most of our players get pretty stable scores. So something in like the 8 to 12 category. If you're not familiar with Teams 40K, whether or not you win a game doesn't actually matter all that much. What really matters is like the margin of victory. Do you want to explain what that means?
Yeah, so the margin of victory basically is how many points are between the one player's win and one player's loss. So for instance, if we had an 85 and a 75, I think that's exactly at the 11-9 mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then every 5 points after that, you get one more differential point and one more differential point. So the moment your opponent gets over 50 points, you can no longer get a 20-0 at that point.
So basically, like, each round gives up 20 points. You want to try and get the most points out of it. So 20 is a crushing win, and a 10 is a dead tie. The first team to 86 points wins. If you get between 85 and 75, the round is a draw.
And then what number did we get, Quinton?
We got an 84. So we were...
74.
74, my bad.
Yeah.
So we were 1 point away from drawing this round. So for those of you at home, that is 1 extra objective scored. That is 1 card drawn. That
one
is
extend battle lines.
1 extend battle lines.
Anything.
1 unit kills. Like, we were this close.
1 failed charge.
Yeah. But we, like I said, we were going to try and set up just a couple of really big wins. We were going to try and set up John and Richard to get really big wins. And then we were going to try and have everyone else hold somewhere in like the 8 to 12 range, which is usually considered pretty close, very drawish.
Yep.
So let's find out how that went.
It went Pretty decent.
Pretty decently.
Pretty decent.
We felt very good after pairings.
We felt great after pairings, I think, actually.
So here we have Ben Urich played Brian Sipes. So this was guard versus orc. So they're both very standard, like guard versus tactical brigade. Yep. I think Ben was running combined arms. That went fine. We got a 10-10.
That was great.
That was great.
Super happy out of that.
Great. Then we had Richard Siegler in the seams, also guards. We had our Star Shadow Necrons. That went well.
Great.
We got our 14 there. That was kind of, when you're playing in a really competitive like environment, of 14 is considered like a pretty
14 is a really
score,
good win. Yeah.
Okay. Here's where it starts to turn.
Quinton, what happens?
Quinton, what happens is Quinton, my sisters versus Anthony's world leaders. We were expecting a 10 and I brought home a 4.
You got the axe.
I got the axe. This was really bad. And I'm going to talk about what went wrong in this game and what I could be doing better and what I learned and what StatCheck knew and how they applied it. Okay. Going after when we kind of go through things.
Right.
Going forward. Sasha versus Innis. We have Chaos Space Marines versus Jinx Card. Usually this is much worse for the Chaos Space Marines, but we got really lucky. We played StatCheck on Purge the Foe, which meant that Innis's list, which has a bunch of it's like 120 neophyte bodies, very scary, much less scary on Purge the Foe.
Yeah, actually gives up a lot of points.
Is easy to kill, and also it comes back to life. So you kind of mitigate a lot of its greatest advantages. Kyle McCord into Olivier Weiss. We got a 0 here.
R.I.P. Kyle.
R.I.P. Kyle.
He tried his best.
Kyle tried his best. So unfortunately, Jack was scheduled to play our World Leaders, and Kyle was going to be one of our coaches. Unfortunately, Jack had some health problems. He had to get one of his teeth pulled the day of the event.
Yeah, it was pretty.
It was pretty gnarly. Yeah. So we got some very nice medicated Jack texts.
That's true. We did.
We did. He wished us the best, and he's doing much better now. But Kyle had to sub in, and this was Kyle's 4th game
of
World Leaders ever
against the WTC
War
Masters
champion. War Masters captain of Team France.
Yep.
So no shade to Kyle there.
No shade to Kyle
there. John, this was one of our ones that we were really setting up again. We got a 17 versus Josh Roberts, who got a 3. So that went really well.
This is great. John, I believe, said himself, scammed Josh a little. So this ended up going a lot better than we were hoping.
And then finally, Michael, you got a 9.
I got a 9. I matrixed a 7.
Yeah.
I was happy with the 9.
Yeah.
But I wanted more, but a lot of
stuff happened. Stuff happened.
Roddigus mentally dominated me again, so sorry.
Yeah, I know. If you ever need to scare Michael, just say the word Roddigus 3 times. It's like Roddigus.
I hate this guy.
But again, that's pretty much in our kind of
in the wheelhouse.
In the wheelhouse, yeah. And then Nick versus Jeremy, guys is 10-10.
Yeah, we were actually really happy with that because I think that could have been really really quick.
So what went right? We got our 2 wins in the places we wanted to get our wins. What went mostly right? We got
most of our draws. What
went wrong? There were 2 areas that we really kind of failed to hold the line. And this is really indicative of where teams play happens, right? Because it's very easy to recover from a 9. A 9 is no big deal,
nope.
Right? This 4 and this 0 where you don't expect it. That's really where we lost the round.
Yeah, it's a really big deal to get any 2 major losses in teams. You have so many breakpoints where you can be safe and steady and kind of keep winning the round. But the moment one hill crashes, it's okay, all right, team, get it together. The moment a second hill crashes, it's
really hard to
It's really hard to start surviving at that point.
So one thing that StatCheck did very well was that they all brought armies they were very experienced with, right? All of these players are world-class players who are on armies that they're really renowned for playing. And we also had a bunch of world-class players.
I think almost everyone is playing their little favorite in this. I think so.
But 2 of the players on our team that had a lot less experience with their respective factions were Kyle, obviously, because he was, had never played World Leaders before. He was, bravely stepping up.
Doing his best.
And then me, I actually hadn't had that many games with champions because it was just kind of a new list idea and I was testing it out. Right. And so I had maybe 10 games with it, which was nice. But Anthony on his World Leaders had over 1,000.
Yeah.
Which is insane. But he has been grinding games continuously with the exact same army for the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's close to 3 years
Close to 3 years now. He was I changed out a rhino for some spawn, and that's my only change.
That's it.
And I really felt that experience loss, that experience gap on the table. And that I had never actually played the World Leaders matchup before. And Anthony hadn't played into Champions, but he had played it into Sisters and all kinds of different Sisters. And because he had a lot more experience than me, he just knew a lot of little tricks. And he knew more about what his units could do and could take than I did because he had that big experience gap. And that is something that StatCheck did really, really well here, was that they weren't on their matrix just looking at the raw like matchup to matchup cases, but they were also applying the like, we're going to target Kyle and Quinton because we know that they're less experienced on their respective factions with notably very aggressive armies, right? These are armies that can put up really big scores if you have that big skill differential. And they managed to get those armies pretty much exactly where they wanted to get them.
Yeah, going for the throat in teams is like the best
thing to do.
Because getting a 20 is possibly backbreaking.
It's
like
a single 20 can like swing around.
Yeah, it can just end it.
Yeah. And that's why like usually if someone like if the first round out of the gate is a 20, it like totally upends the balance of the rounds. Yeah.
Yeah, the live play section of teams is like the most interesting.
It really is.
It's the most interesting there because all of a sudden, like some game where you're like, I'm just chilling. I'm just gonna score my objectives and sit here. And all of a sudden, coach come over is like, Quinn got 20 or something. You have to send it all right now. And it's like, okay.
Red Rum, welcome to the team, Michael. Glad to have you here and see what you do. Just so you know, this is the Quinton Food Fund realm. Great turn performance, guys. Thank you, Red Rum.
Oh, how nice.
I know. You can be Michael Food Fund soon enough. New man for 29 months. Much love to Michael Mann. Love hearing your thoughts and vibes on the stream. What an excellent war boss. We're really glad to have you on.
I'm going to be the best war boss.
I think, like I said, one of my favorite aspects of teams, just like right as you said, is that live aspect. So we had one coach who was Chris we were borrowing him from the Midwest Monsters, and he was doing really excellent. It was great job, incredible coach. And he came over to me and he was like, how you doing? And I was like, I think I'm going to get a 10 because my game into Anthony was very, 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 very drawish.
Yeah.
I was feeling really good because neither he nor I had crossed the midline until like turn 3.
Got it.
And there was a really pivotal moment where I had my Volgons relatively exposed. And they were like bubble wrapped in a squad of Sacristans.
Right.
And then Anthony pulled off a really complicated like 4-part play where he had a Rhino charge, a second squad of Sacristans, so I couldn't heroic with it. Then 2 squads of 8-bound charged in, and like one got overwashed to death, but because he had 2, it was okay. And then he had Angron kill something else so he could get sustained hits. Then Angron piled in to give that squad of 8-bound rerolls. And then the squad of 8-bound ended up killing my Sacristans, which allowed his Khorne Berserkers with the Master Executions to pile in and kill all the Volga.
This is quite a good sequence.
It was a very good sequence for him.
That guy's pretty good or something.
Yeah, right. And like I said earlier, right, like it was just he had a lot more experience with the matchup. Like in retrospect, what I should have done was had 2 layers of Sacristans in front of my Paragon.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Now you can check the math as to whether or not 3 Sacristans or 3 Exalted 8-bound will kill 10 Sacristans. It's kind of fuzzy.
Yeah.
But it ended up happening. And then that swing was huge, right? That was probably minus 8 or 9 diff points right there. Because instead of being able to kill Anthony, I no longer had the ability to kill him, right? Because I just lost my most important piece. And then what was in front of me was a bunch of like blood surging Khorne Berserkers.
Yeah, I think it can be like a really good lesson in like identifying your loss condition in the game, right? Because like the loss condition for you, it sounds like was the moment the Volgons are touched.
The game's over.
The game ends, right? So you have to do everything in your power to be like, okay, if something astronomically goes wrong, like
I think as I had them, they were like 95% safe, but I needed to make sure they were 100% safe.
100%. That's right. The 5% will happen. Right?
Yeah,
it will happen.
But then Chris came over and he was like afterwards, he was like, how are you doing? And I was like, I think I'm gonna get like a 2 or a 3, right? Because I can no longer really like fight out of here. And I got a 4 because I drew really good cards, right? Like I drew like extend containment on turn 5 and got an 11 in that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But once that happened, Chris had to go around to all the different players and be like, can you push, like get more points, take big risks? And that's a really interesting live aspect of teams.
It's so cool. It's unreplicatable in any way.
It is.
Yeah.
One of the things that a lot of times teams have done as like a TTS scrim, and the games are played over the course of like 2 weeks, and you don't get that like tension and stress.
Yeah,
like,
it's a really big difference because you get like the pairings process, you get the games process, and you kind of get information about games that are completed, but the whole point of live teams is that the games are ongoing, right?
I know one thing that Richard did was Richard's army had like 4 units. It was very fast to play. So sometimes he would just put the clock over to him, and he would wait like 40 minutes. Because he didn't need all this time. Because the rounds were very long at BFS. And he would just wait and see how the round was going before whether or not he needed to know if he needed to push or not.
Yeah.
Right? Because if the round is going fine, getting a 10 is more important than getting a 15.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like sometimes pushing has inherent risk, right?
It does.
Because if you push and fail, then your score is going to go into the earth, right? And Richard's score falling into that round was never an option, right? So he has to be very careful, knowing if he has to take the risk and so on and so on.
Because one thing that you can do in teams is if you're like, I want to get an 8, right? Like, or something, you can just be like, I'm not going to cross the midline.
Yep.
So I was playing Anthony, and that was kind of what I did, right? Like, I was just like, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to get at worst like an 8 or 9.
Right.
Because I'm just going to sit on my objective. I'm going to score that every turn. I'm going to score these cards. I'm never going to like go towards you.
And Purge the Foe is the mission here.
Purge the Foe is the mission, yeah.
Primary is super easy to make very draw.
And I was like, my choice here is to get like an 8 or 9, and I'm going to try and do everything I can to do that. And I'm accepting that I'm going to lose the game with the flip side that I'm going to get a decent score.
Yep.
And instead, Anthony was like, I'm going to make this more of a risky game plan, right? He chose to take the risk. It ended up working out for him. But if he doesn't, right? Like say, like I rolled really bad on the invulns on my Sacristans, but let's say I don't, right? And the game flips and the Volgons are alive instead of dead.
Yep.
Then there's a huge swing and the score might end up being reversed, where I get a 6 and he gets a 4, right? And so knowing how the round is going and how you need to be pushing is really like important, and like StatCheck did that very well, right? They knew how the round was going at all times, and their coach was able to inform them, and then Anthony was able to make an informed risk instead of just like a random risk.
Yeah, because if your team's on pace to get the 86 to win, there's no reason to take any risky decisions
No,
at all. You should just do as little as possible to maintain the same score.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? I want to talk about some of the other rounds here.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's the story of that round.
Do you want to talk about why don't we talk about a round into Chimera?
That's a good round to talk about,
round,
actually.
yeah.
That was a good round.
So the Chimera was another really great team here. Wow, StatCheck really murdered Obliterati here in the final rounds. StatCheck won this tournament. They won it.
Congrats to them.
Congrats to them. They did an amazing job. 8 excellent players, 8 great sports. We had a very fun time getting dinner with them after a round.
We did.
Totally deserved it. Okay. This was a very fun round. This was round 5. So this one basically was us and the Chimera. We were playing for second place, right?
We were playing for second.
Because we'd lost to StatCheck.
StatCheck had to like lose
very badly to Obliterati, but I think they felt very confident going to that.
Yep.
So we were playing for second place here. And we were a little bit angry here. We had some pent up rage.
We took it out.
Yeah, so our plan here really wasn't, we didn't want to get like a tight draw into StatCheck, right? In StatCheck, we were like, we want to try and sail the ship to a draw or like a 90-point win.
Exactly.
That was our plan. Here we were like, we want a Hulk smash.
Yeah. For our tiebreakers here, we like needed to Hulk smash.
We needed a Hulk smash, yeah. Because we didn't want to draw the Chimera. We wanted to like destroy them, and that meant our pairing strategy was different.
Yep.
Right. So we were trying to set up to get those big scores, and then I was told to like take larger risks out of the gate because our round strategy wanted us to
smash. And we mostly smashed.
So John Stormlance played into Daniel Wilmoth's Aspinal Tarim. This game is kind of fuzzy, but I know John has a lot of experience playing with it.
Yes. He plays both of these armies as well.
He does, which that's actually really we're going to talk about later. Big deal. Yeah. Having experience just on like what your opponent can do is huge in teams. So having a very versatile player is very useful. This ended up being a 15-5, which is pretty much how John was scoring the whole weekend. John, he's a very good Warhammer player.
Just the win machine.
He's just the win machine, but like, he's not just the win machine. He's like the high win machine.
Yeah, that's true too.
We're just Necrons into Jack Murphy's Gene Stealer Cult. I heard about this game. Apparently, the Gene Stealer Cult actually had a really hard time killing the Wraith Bricks, and then the -1 damage Silent King just like walked.
Just does what it wants.
Just what it doesn't want. Yeah. Sasha's Chaos Space Marines here into Sam's World Leaders. This game I was actually surprised by. This was a game that we had Matrix as a loss.
Yeah, it was a pretty volatile game from what I could tell. Not too sure what gave Sasha the win here. Do you know?
I'm not. Usually what happens is that Angron is such a problem for Bile because he can go -1 damage. Yeah. And then he's really high toughness with a 2 bomber save, which means even possessed are not that good at killing him. And then 8-bound tend to win the fight into like Chosen and stuff because they're not characters.
Right.
So they can't get real wounds. They're T6. It's really awkward for them. So this game is actually on stream. If you wanted to watch it, you can watch it. Check out Joe from War Games Live.
Yeah, it's on his stream.
Incredible channel. He was there the whole weekend streaming it. It was a wonderful I played into Mike DeAngelis' Eldar.
When you killed some Eldar.
I did. So this was a matchup. We kind of did what Stat Check did, right? So this matchup is probably a little bit more in the drawish territory.
Sure.
But I had a big advantage in that I really knew what Mike's Eldar did because it was a very similar aspect list to what I'd been playing a lot of.
Right.
And he had no idea what my army did because it was kind of something off the wall. And that's a really cool thing to be doing in teams, is if you have an army that's a little bit different than usual. People sometimes don't know exactly what it does.
It's very easy to trip.
Very easy to trip. One thing that people don't really expect here was that I have the Saxon's ability to heal is way better than people do the math on. And they're much more durable than people expect, right? So I know Mike going into this game assumed that if he just shot a Reaper Brig at the Saxons would die. But actually he kills like 5, and then I get 3 or 4 back.
The math is very bad.
It's very bad. He kills 5, I get 3 or 4 back, and all of a sudden there's a 9-man Saxon brick there instead of the 0 he thought there was going to be.
Exactly.
I played this game very risky because I went for the big. I basically put my army on the line and ran at him.
Okay.
I had a castigated on a home objective on turn 2.
Spoiler alert, that works against elves.
It does work against elves quite a bit, yeah. The big thing was it took like 4 of his units to kill a Saxon brick reliably. And that meant he just didn't have the activations to kill me. And the Saxons, they don't do a ton of damage, but they actually do quite a bit of damage into...
Doesn't take much to kill an elf, no.
Hivebane, member for 32 months from the Worm Gold. Thank you very much. Only 4 more months until 3 years. Can't believe I've gotten to enjoy content like this for so long. Thanks for everything, gentlemen. You never fail to educate. Thank you for the compliment, Hivebane.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for sticking around.
That's so nice.
As Richard pointed out in the chat, if you are a member for a while, if you keep that subscription going, we have a TTS league. We're going into season 2 soon. And then we're going to have both beginner and advanced leagues, depending on your skill level, so you can play against people that are learning in the same.
Oh, that's really quite nice, actually.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ben Urich played Alex Fennel. I know this game came down to that Alex... his wraiths weren't quite able to kill hellhounds at anything approaching speed.
Right.
So Ben just got to tag the race, and then Alex unfortunately did not just have enough.
At that point, you just kind of get
to play the game. Yeah.
The wraith breaks are really nice when they can get to the objectives and just sit there and hold primary all game. But against the guard, that's actually quite a bit difficult.
Yeah, guard are one of the few armies that actually like just have like unlimited OC.
Yeah.
Right. I know Ben had the 20-man regenerating Krieg Brig, which is just like if you need it to be, it's like 60 OC. Exactly. Right. It just holds it
holds whatever you need to.
It does hold an objective, and that is the end of the story.
Sometimes it holds multiple objectives.
Yeah. Nick played Tony. 12-8 for us. Pretty standard.
Nothing crazy here.
Nothing crazy here. That probably is how that
Gun line trips into Yannari's 500 rakes.
Kyle versus Ben here.
I think it's a very good draw for us. Yep. I had this marked as like a loss for the World Eaters.
Yeah.
Tank us just go burr and like kill lots of guys.
Hey, Kyle definitely recovering from his loss into the War Master WTC
French captain champion,
who's actually here.
That's right.
Right now in
this house.
Yeah, he's visiting lovely Orlando for a vacation. And if you want to catch kind of a rematch, this is the game which Olivier is playing into Jack's World Eaters, the game that was not
what could have been
at BF, what could have been,
except with a 10th edition World
Eaters. With a 10th edition World Eaters, yeah.
Ignore that.
That game is going to be in the War Room.
Yeah,
you want to check that out? I think it comes out sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Sometime in the next couple of weeks.
And then lastly, we have Michael here versus TJ. What happened in this game?
I was very excited for this game. I hadn't played TJ before. So we attacked me into TJ. TJ was defending. And then I was genuinely shocked that he took me because this was an awful matchup. So TJ basically sat on the back line with all his demons and said, like, please don't kill me. Now it's a little awkward since I have Gunline Ornts and Tank Tactical Brigade. So I have the Tank List and Flash Goods. The Accursed Cultist bricks, like the Advanced and Charged Bloodthirster, I actually don't like want you to touch me. So I have to be like far enough into the midfield to be like, okay, don't leave your home field. But also, I can't go any farther because then I get touched first, and that's bad for me.
Yes.
So I just kind of slow burned the game and just like sat in the middle of the board and was like, all right, you can have your home field, buddy. And that's it. Now he like God drawed tactical cards is the only reason he got that 6, but you know, that's okay. He got it. We matched secondary points when he held his home field all game. That was actually kind of insane.
That is impressive.
That was pretty insane. But it was a great game. Yeah.
Secret Stat Check member Jack's Tooth with a $5 super chat says, haha, it is I, Jack's Tooth. Why do I have a ludicrous French accent? For I am a member of Stat Check. I have defeated you. Ha ha ha.
Secret agent.
Thank you, Secret Stat Check member Jack's Tooth. I appreciate that. Let's just go ahead and go over the final placings here. And then we're probably going to wrap this video up. So if any final super chats, any final comments, you want to drop those in there, we'll be happy to answer them for you. First place, congrats to Satchek. They did an incredible job with 5 clean wins.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. Second place was us. Ooh, that's 74. It's going to haunt me.
I know. That little blemish on 86 on Satchek's 130, 132.
Yeah. Third place was Big Dumpster Energy. Congrats, Big Dumpster Energy.
Congrats.
Yep. Then fourth place, we had Nerd. Fifth place was the Chimera. Sixth was Obliterati. Seventh was Astronomicon Wargaming. Astronomicon Wargaming.
Oh, we played them.
We played them.
We had a lovely round with them.
They played down a player.
That's right.
And they still got 7th place. A great job. That was an excellent group of guys.
Great players didn't show up.
Yep.
Yeah.
That very unfortunate, but impressive nonetheless.
Nonetheless.
That, 8, the Dumpster Fire. 9, Sect Seawolf, and 10, the Legion of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Congratulations to everyone. This was a lovely tournament. I really appreciate the organizers for putting us on.
Yeah, it's a great event. I look forward to going next year.
Yeah, it was a truly an excellent event. I'm gonna go ahead and I don't see any final super chats or anything here. So any final closing thoughts here, Michael?
I think so. I just had a great time. My first team event with Art of War. We'll be doing our next one, DreamHack. My goodness. It's just a couple weeks. So we'll see some of you guys there.
Yeah, if you guys are coming to DreamHack, we'll see you there. Have a great day, and we'll see you guys around.
Bye.